Well, Dad, you asked for it, and unlike those unruly children at home, Cadillac actually listened to you. Yes, this is the 750 horsepower, 9,000-pound King Kong in a tuxedo, the 2026 Cadillac Escalade IQ. Whew. So what is there to say about this $132,000 three-row electric SUV? A lot. Now, normally in my reviews, I give you 3 pros, 3 cons, makes it easy. Dad life's complicated, but this car is complicated. There's so many things I love. There's some head scratchers that have me asking Cadillac, what were you thinking here? So today, instead of just a couple quick ones, I'm gonna take you on a pretty thorough walkthrough. We're gonna talk about the outside, the inside, the cargo, the interior, the tech, of course the drive, and I wanna make this a little bit longer so you can get a really good understanding, because there are a lot of reasons to buy this car. But there's a few really annoying dad life instances. If you weren't a dad, probably wouldn't bother you, but I am a dad, you're probably a dad, so let's get real. All right, let's start talking about the size and the space. I mean, I've had a lot of people stop me and be like, that thing is huge, and it's true, it is. Now, if you really want to go big, you can get the IQL, which is new for this year, which gives you more space in that third row. We'll talk about interior in a minute, but you get 4 extra inches, which means the wheelbase actually stays the same, but they just kind of pull the back of the trunk out a little to slide those seats. So that makes it even bigger. But even this one is such a presence, like a Brinks truck, like a Brinks truck was going to the Met Gala. This is what it would look like. I mean, the detail and the design on the front here, you know, not only is it just great layout, but there's so many details. Like on the side by the light here is a little Cadillac that's like etched in, and then this kind of like wave pattern here. The startup lights are really interesting. They do kind of like a cool pattern. On the front is the flush Cadillac symbol on the front here, which is so nice. All kinds of cameras and everything up here, but it's integrated so nicely. You don't even know, you can't really even realize that. And of course, the edges have to be rounded. Now, the traditional Escalade does look like it was shorn out of a large block of granite. They wanted to keep some of that kind of oomph, but range is so vital, and the opposite to range is wind resistance or going uphill or towing or whatever, anything that takes more energy. So they had to round the edges off, but I think they did a good balance of kind of like angular and rounded, so it still has some of that road presence that I really love. And how about the wheels? Look at these. 22-inch wheels with 35-inch tires. I mean, it's like they got like one of those giant dump trucks. Have you seen those? And they pulled the wheels and tires off and put them on here. It is massive. And then as you come along the side here, you got this really high belt line. I'm 6'1", and this is me putting my, you know, it's like the way I'm positioned. Another Cadillac logo here. Look at this mirror. Here's my head. It's bigger than my head, guys. Bigger than my head. And I've been told I have a huge noggin. And then as it wraps around, you have kind of this like frameless, the way the window touches the window, there's no frame. So it's really this cool design, really also again helps with aerodynamics as it goes all the way back and wraps around. So that's one of the first things you're gonna notice is this exterior oomph and size. Oh, and talking about the size and space, another huge win is the frunk. Yes, look at this. Now, some vehicles that are electric don't have frunks. Some have small frunks. Some have medium frunks. This is huge. This is 12.2 cubic feet. A Honda Civic trunk is only 2 more cubic feet than this. It's carpeted. There's an outlet right here. I mean, basically, this is a Brooklyn apartment. Even the carpet's nicer than my Brooklyn apartment. So I love that Cadillac did that. Whenever I travel now, like over this week, I've just been throwing stuff in the front. It's so much more convenient to throw it here, go over here, get in and drive. This is me driving. Get out, get my bags, and go. Like, that's just fantastically convenient. And that's another thing that I love about the Escalade IQ. There's so many conveniences, so many features that you just think, how did they even know that I needed that? Cadillac preempted your what about with already an answer. Very cool. So, talked about the outside, talked about the wheels. Let's talk about one of the most important parts of a vehicle at all, the interior. The cargo space, the size, the comfortability, and a couple things that annoy me. Oh yeah, to close this, So cool. Here we are on the interior, and the first thing I notice in here, screens everywhere, including this absolutely gigantic 55-inch screen. I mean, you could get 55-inch screens at Costco. I don't even have a 55-inch screen at TV. It's like amazing. Goes from A pillar to A pillar. It's absolutely beautiful. It bows, it curves around, which is cool, except one of the things that I noticed when I first got in, because it's bowed, the driver's side isn't flush. You know what I mean? Like, I want to look at it so it's flat, but it's tilted a little because it's the edge of the bow. The flat part is right here, and it kind of, I don't know, I'm being like a nitpicky, annoying teen, but these are some of the things that, you know, as a dad, I notice right as I get in. I do love this gloss over this black wood. I'm sure it's like ash pour, I don't know, something. We'll put a graphic up that says exactly the right name of it, but it's beautiful. And guess what? Fingerprints, no problem. And that's huge, especially for dad life, having kids and living that life. Also, some other things I love, this giant screen here, the passenger gets a screen, the driver gets a screen, you can customize some of this. This has all of your infotainment baked in, but no Apple CarPlay. Now, I understand General Motors, in their EVs, they're not doing it, and you gotta make a stand somewhere. I'm sure they're paying a giant licensing fee, but it's just easy. Apple CarPlay in our life, so that I'm going around, I can pull up my maps, I can talk to it, I can get my texts that were read back to me, I can tell my wife I'm on the way somewhere. All that is so vital to the way that I live. That would almost be a deal breaker for me because, I mean, the car is nice enough that it wouldn't be totally a deal breaker, but for some people that's gonna be a big deal. So that's worth noting. The screen here controls all of your climate as well as all your other kind of extra things. And I can control climate on the front row, second row, and third row. Third row gets climate back there with vents in the ceiling. Second row is missing the vents in the ceiling. I'll get to that in a little bit. I can control the seats here. You can also control them in the door if you're in the front. But it is kind of nice because my son was back here and he was like, Dad, I want the TV a little bit closer. There's screens in the back, by the way. And I was like, normally I would say no, but we have the car for a week. Let's, live it up. So I can go to second row and, first row, pick the passenger. Okay, oh, there we go. Passenger, okay, and move it forward. Look at that. I can do that from here. Otherwise, I have to reach way over and like flip it over there, and that's great. So I can kind of manage that, move the TV forward and back for my son in the back. That's a pretty cool feature. I like that. Cool job, Cadillac. You do have a nice kind of jog wheel. My coffee is blocking it. Beautiful little crystal jog wheel. Takes you home and can get you to all the main elements that you want up here, but this is really what controls your climate and your seat control. It also is kind of like you can hit your camera button from here and get your cameras up here. So there's like quick buttons here, including turning on and off the rear steer, which I'll talk about when I talk about driving. Yes, the back tires and wheels turn, which is cool. And there's a rival mode, which is kind of like the Hummer's crab walk. It allows you to kind of pull in and out of spaces. I tried it. It took me some getting used to. It's a little bit odd, but I think in theory it would be awesome and you would love it. You've got a motion sensor in here as well. Glove box release. There's not even a button for your glove box. If I was scoring this based on buttons, we have 1, 2, 3 buttons on the left, which is for the front and the trunk, and my parking brake. That's basically it. Everything else in the car, even the glove box, has to be used through the screen. There's other elements on here, your dome light, you can lock the windows. That was one thing that was kind of a bummer for me. There's not a child safety lock right with the windows. So sometimes I don't want my kids opening and closing the window. I don't want to be driving the car and have to be going like this and then swiping, and I just want boom, and yes, the windows are closed. We're not going to open them at 80 miles an hour on the freeway. Who's driving 80? 65. 65 on the freeway, guys. Speed limit signs are real. That's laws. The steering wheel is beautiful. Super Cruise is on here. Autonomous driving. It's absolutely fantastic. My kid was freaking out today. We were driving along. When this goes green, I'll see if I can demonstrate it, if I can find a good road for it, but this goes green and it just drives itself. feet off the gas, feet off the brake, hands off the steering wheel. As long as it's a mapped road that GM has within their system and it can clearly read the lines using the cameras, you're good to go. Another important button that you're going to want is the VMAX button. You push this button right here and it ups your power all the way to that 750 horsepower topping point. But what's cool is other brands, you push like a power boost button, like in Porsche. I've reviewed some Porsches with this, and you get 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Nah, Cadillac says, go for it, Dad. Turn it on and leave it on. It's basically a drive mode like sport or comfort or touring or whatever. So I love that that is something that Cadillac has done. Shout out to Cadillac engineers, the Dagineers, for that move. Here's another thing that's a little bit odd. They do give you a camera back here, which I appreciate, and that's because at some point, this mirror won't flip any higher. I like to ride a little high in my seat, and I couldn't see out of the back window because the angle of the mirror, again, one of those quirks, it's a little bit odd, but for me, it's just kind of like, okay. So gotta go with the camera, and that's a little bit of an odd view sometimes because your eyes are used to looking far, and now it's gotta look at a screen. Screens everywhere. Speaking of screens everywhere, let's go to the back seat. Well, the second row back seat. All right, so let's hop in this second row. Welcome to the second row. A couple things you'll notice. Number one, TV screens. Yes, thankfully we've got screens and screens and screens and screens and screens. Screens all over the car. Second row, not a bad situation in terms of space. I can move the seat using this here. I can slide up and back, but with this fully back, this is what we're looking at for some knee room. Not bad. Here in the middle, I can adjust my climate zone. I can also help out my brothers and sisters in the third row, or more likely, make them mad by getting it too hot or too cold, despite what they ask for. I do have heated seats, but I don't have ventilated seats. If you want cup holders, you got them here. But if you're a kid in a car seat, reaching all the way down here is not gonna happen. So I was basically keeping my son's bottle there and having to hand it back, but then this is actually pretty far. So that's something worth noting if you got car seat kids. These cups don't even hold cup holders. I mean, they don't even hold water bottles, so it doesn't even really matter. But that's something to keep in mind. Down below, you've got some USB-Cs, some HDMIs, and a regular outlet, which is nice in case you forgot a charge cable. You do have vents in the middle, but no vents in this B pillar. And because of the shape of the glass and all this, no vents up here. So you gotta get all of this to cool you down. That's how it is for some cars, but I wish that were not the case here. Now, something I do love, because it's electric, flat floor. One of the major benefits, because you don't have any kind of machinery that's back here. So this whole flat floor is nice and leads back to the third row, which I'll get to in just a second. But I really like this. I can connect my headphones, which of course are AKG, because they're an audio partner of Cadillac. Oh, look at this. We have hot cars. Oh, look at that. Cadillac actually came up for one of the first ones. So you could go here and you could watch you could watch Amanda, you could watch me. What, Dad? What? I can't hear you. I'm watching some hot cars. Yeah. Your videos are great. Love them. You can watch Jean right there. You could watch Fast and Furious Vin Diesel. That video did well, 305,000. You know why?
Because it's all about family.
Now, usually I am against having a TV kind of mounted right here, but I will say it was super convenient. My kids didn't have to bring a tablet or anything. We were just running errands, but basically if you were on a road trip, that would be a nice feature. I kind of wish it could pop off, but you know, that's part of it. It's integrated in. They get a lot of the same nice design details and the speakers and the gloss, all that comes through here as well. But let's talk about the third row. Now back here, this is where things get strange, because from the outside of this vehicle, this gorilla wearing a tuxedo, you think, man, there must be so much space in it. It's huge, it's massive. The interior's not quite as big as you would think just looking on the outside, and nowhere is that more evident than here in the third row. Now here's some things I love about the third row. Look at this. Vents in the ceiling, 3 vents. That's better than what you get in the second row. You get 0 vents in the ceiling. You got all your normal stuff you might expect, cup holders, USB-C, all that kind of thing. Plus, with the floor being flat, This is kind of like exit row on the airplane. So I like that. But that is the most you're gonna get. Now we're talking about trying to squeeze my size 13 feet around here to go underneath. This is not what I want. There's my knees. They are fully against the seat. Now the IQL brings 4 inches of leg room. All 4 of those I would be using, so I am appreciative of that. And I do like that in the IQL you get more of a real window. This is not much of a window, but it's here anyway. I do have this button that I can push to try to get out. I can lift that and create all this space, which is nice. Ooh, look at that. They've designed that nice. So it flops up right there, I guess depending on the angle of the TV at the time. And then put that back like that. Or you can also lift up 2 times here. 1, oh, see, that was weird. And then 2, all the way up there. Now I'm walking over this to get to the 3rd row. The first thing you'll notice when you get in here is you're seated really high. I like that. And I'm just gonna crush it for just so you can see. That's where the all-wheel drive is definitely engaging, because you can feel like if you turn that off, this would just be a smoke show on the ground, just the tires just burning up. Now there's a sensation when I've done blast off or boost mode, like I call it with my kids, put my kids in the back. I say 3, 2, 1, they say blast off. That when it almost kind of lunges back. It's like you're in a boat and you just, you know, crank it and all of a sudden you're kind of flying like that. You'll see, and even the wheels, like, they don't come loose, but the steering feels like it's a little bit lighter because of all this power that's up on the front. So it's almost like it becomes this rear wheel drive sports car kind of at some point during that moment of acceleration. And it starts to, you can kind of get it squirrely, I think. If I found a corner, I could get a little squirrely. Another element to driving this vehicle that I love is the rear wheel steer. Basically what that means is normally you just turn the front wheels, and maybe in some cars there's like a toe in or something that happens, but the back of the vehicle, the actual rear wheels, also turn a little bit depending on your speed. If you're going slow, then they turn opposite of each other so that you can turn easier. I'm making corners in this that even my old Benz wagon, I have an 06 W211 Benz wagon with a great turning radius, but even it can't make some of the corners that this guy can. So I love that. This thing is burly and it's big and it's heavy and it's got tons of batteries and tons of horsepower and tons of range, which I love. 460 miles. That's absolutely fantastic. Like Cadillac, when you got other EVs out here that are like 280, I'm almost 300 miles. Well, no, Cadillac's like, forget that. That's not a road trip, that's a grocery store run. So Cadillac knows you need some oomph and you're gonna need some range. And there's this interesting balance between range and power because you need more batteries to get better range. Batteries are heavy. So if you have more batteries for more range, your range is actually gonna start dipping a little bit because you're carrying more weight, which means you need more horsepower or, you know, kilowatts or whatever that you're measuring with. And so there is a moment when you think, well, how much bigger can it get? 750 horsepower sounds like a lot, except when the vehicle's 9,000 pounds. Think about it. When you're on a jet and you're flying across the country, you're going 600 miles an hour. Doesn't feel like 600 miles an hour. You're just up in the clouds, right? So there's a little bit of that too, where it says, you know, I'll tell somebody 750 horsepower, like, oh my gosh, it must feel like an absolute track attack, like a brutal, like, you know, boost rocket ship, you know, with leather all throughout. It's not the case. And Cadillac didn't intend for that to be the case. It's certainly not like their Escalade V, which is one of my favorite vehicles of all time, by the way. You know, all that power is there because it kind of has to be. The steering is definitely on the lighter side because if it was, you know, no power steering, you'd be like getting all of your push and pull from the gym in just in trying to turn the vehicle a little bit. and with how heavy this is, combined with the adaptive suspension and the Magna Ride, which uses magnetics to electrically charge, or actually it uses electricity to charge little magnets in this viscous liquid, changes the viscosity of the liquid in the dampers. Basically, it's an amazing technology that Cadillac pioneered way back in the day with, I think, the CTS-V. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's when it was. And so it's just so smooth, and it's so quiet, of course, because it's electric, and physics being what they are, because there's a lot of battery low in the vehicle. And we experienced this in the Hyundai Ioniq 9, which I reviewed right before this, as an electric vehicle. That is in your favor because it keeps the car pulled so down to the ground that you lose a lot of that waft that you might expect. And more than that, it just keeps the car like really smooth. I'll go over bumps that I feel in our daily driver MDX or my Benz wagon, and it's boom, 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 boom. And in this, it's just like, that's pretty nice. I like that Cadillac includes the ability to do one pedal driving. This is basically an experience like driving a regular car up a hill. As you take your foot off of the throttle, the motors start to recover some of that energy and stick it back in the battery, so you don't need to brake. I'm slowing down, I'm speeding up, I'm slowing down, I'm speeding up. You can adjust how much you want from that. There's also a paddle shifter on the left side of the steering wheel. You can use that. If I'm pushing it, it's adding the regen back in. That's short for regenerating. You're taking that energy that you used and trying to put back some of it into the batteries. It's not a one-for-one, but I appreciate that Cadillac's added that in. You can turn it on, turn it off. There's a button right here on the dash. I say button. There's something that you push on the screen. As we've said, there's not really any buttons in here. So that's a nice little kind of tech advancement. I appreciate that. All right, so let's boost. Yeah, kind of a cool futuristic sound as well. I like that. All right, so what do you think, Dad? Is this it? Is this the car for you? I got to shout out Escalade for what I think is really kind of the next generation of car. I think they've done an amazing job putting together usable tech in a high-end package with range that we can actually use and charge times we can actually use. I mean, 100 miles in 10 minutes is fantastic. I would imagine if you're really looking for that dad life situation, especially if you need 3 usable rows, you're gonna opt for that IQL. I probably would as well. It's really not that much more expensive and you get actual usable 3rd row space. That said, this thing's already giant. How much more gianter is it gonna get? I don't know, you gotta figure out if that's where you can park it in your giant garage maybe, or if you got, street parking or something like that. Shout out to Cadillac for actually making a usable family SUV. Now there are some quirks, of course. This whole sunroof thing, I mean, plugging in a shade here, not gonna be something I really wanna do. The fact that almost all the features and functions come through screens, that's not something that I really want to be a part of it as well, but you can't always have your cake and eat it too. So I'm curious what your thoughts are. Make sure you're following us on social. Make sure you're following Hot Cars because we got all kinds of great stuff going on our website, on our socials. Make sure you're following me at Hasemeyer on TikTok, BHaz on Instagram. Got a lot more coming your way. So thanks so much for watching. Make sure you share this with somebody who's considering buying an Escalade IQ or the IQL. Basically going to be the same experience except you get 4 more inches in the back. And yeah, there you go. Keep on dadding and enjoy your drive.